Dr. Zhang immediately sat up straight in his seat as his eyes met Liwei's figure by the door. His hands began to tremble, a rush of unease sweeping through him as he wondered what Liwei wanted. His voice almost shaking, he told him that he had already stopped pursuing Amara, that their relationship was purely professional, and pleaded that he shouldn't hurt him. Liwei stood there watching him in silence, his gaze unreadable, a faint chuckle escaping his lips. Without a word, he placed a check on the table in front of him. Dr. Zhang hesitated for a moment before grabbing it. He looked down at the check, then back at Liwei, confusion in his eyes as he asked him what it was for. Liwei's expression remained cold and controlled as he told him that it was a check worth 20 million yuan, that he had heard people could make donations for the kids battling cancer, and that he was there to make a donation. Dr. Zhang stared at him for a moment, taking a deep breath as realization settled in. He wasn't there for him. A wave of relief washed over him, and with a faint smile, he thanked Liwei, saying that it meant a lot to the children. Liwei didn't respond. He simply turned as if to leave, but stopped midway. His hand slipped into his pocket, and he took out a sleek business card, placing it on the table before him. He told Dr. Zhang that if the children ever needed anything, he could always contact him. Dr. Zhang reached for the card and looked at it, his eyes widening as he read the name. Liwei, President of East Gate Group. Shock rippled across his face as he looked up again and asked if he was really the president of East Gate Group. Liwei only chuckled softly before walking out of the office, his presence leaving behind a heavy silence. Dr. Zhang sat there frozen in disbelief, the card still clutched tightly in his trembling hand. His mind replayed every encounter he'd had with Liwei, the day he saw him handcuff Amara, the fear he'd felt thinking the man was a mafia boss. Only now did he realize that the same man was the president of the biggest corporation in China. Meanwhile, back in Shanghai, Kai drove toward the hospital to collect some of his father's belongings that had been left there. His heart ached with each passing thought. His father was truly gone. Gone just like that. He hadn't even gotten the chance to say a proper goodbye. The pain pressed heavily on his chest as his foot hit the accelerator, the car speeding through the city streets. His cell phone suddenly rang, snapping him out of his thoughts. He glanced at the screen and noticed an unknown number flashing, but he answered anyway. On the other end was the doctor who had been in charge of his father's care. The doctor explained that he had been trying to reach Fang, but Fang's number wasn't going through, so he had decided to call him instead. Kai, his tone now tense, asked if everything was okay. The doctor hesitated for a moment before telling him that there was something he needed to talk to him about regarding his father's death, that there were things he should know because the sudden death didn't make sense. A chill ran through Kai as worry began to take hold. He asked the doctor what was going on, but the doctor told him that it was best discussed in person. Without hesitation, Kai told him that he was already on his way to the hospital and would be there in a few minutes. The call ended, and Kai's grip on the steering wheel tightened. His mind raced as his heart pounded faster, the city lights blurring outside the window. He pressed harder on the accelerator, the car surging forward as he wondered what the doctor meant, what didn't make sense about his father's death, and what truth was waiting for him at the hospital. Kai pulled up at the hospital and stepped out of the car in a rush, his heartbeat echoing in his ears as he made his way inside. His footsteps echoed through the corridor floors, his mind clouded with worry and questions. He reached the elevator, pressed for the 16th floor, and stood there in silence as the elevator ascended, the faint hum of machinery filling the air. His fingers fidgeted restlessly, his chest tight with anticipation of what the doctor had to say. Meanwhile, in his office, the doctor sat hunched over a pile of medical files, Liwei's uncle's documents scattered across his desk. His brows furrowed as he flipped through them, confusion written all over his face. None of it made sense. The man hadn't been suffering from a brain tumor, his medical condition had been stable, and yet he had died so suddenly. Something was terribly off. He reached for his cell phone and called the forensic department, asking whether the post-mortem results for his patient were ready. They informed him that they were being sent through at that very moment. He hung up, and within seconds, the notification appeared on his screen. He opened the report, his eyes scanning each line carefully, until they froze. His hands began to tremble as he read the findings. Traces of vermis X, a deadly compound known for its instantaneous effects, had been found in the bloodstream. The realization hit him hard. Liwei's uncle had been poisoned. Panic crept into his chest. He leaned back in his chair, staring blankly at the report, his mind racing. He knew what this meant, what he had been part of without even realizing it. He swallowed hard, deciding that when Kai arrived, he would come clean. He would tell him everything. That his father had instructed him to fake the medical report, to make it seem as though he had a brain tumor. That there was a high possibility his father had been poisoned. The office door suddenly swung open. The doctor immediately stood, his heart pounding, ready to face Kai and confess everything. But as his gaze lifted, his words caught in his throat. It wasn't Kai standing at the door. It was Master Shen. The doctor frowned, confused, and asked who he was, adding that he didn't have any appointment scheduled for the day. Master Shen didn't respond. He quietly closed the door behind him and locked it, the sharp click echoing through the silent room. He stepped forward, his piercing gaze locked on the doctor, his presence cold and commanding. He instructed the doctor to sit down. The doctor tried to protest, his voice trembling, but Master Shen reached for the gun tucked at his side and pointed it directly at him, his tone flat and calm as he told him to sit if he valued his life. The doctor froze in place before slowly lowering himself into his chair, fear consuming him. Master Shen took a few steps closer and told him that all the CCTV cameras in the office had been disabled, that no one would know what was about to happen. He leaned slightly forward, his voice steady as he told him that he knew about the fake medical reports, the ones he had made for Kai's father. He knew it wasn't the first time. He knew about every falsified report he had created for illegal operations, for criminals to win court cases, for those who could afford to buy lies. Master Shen's tone hardened as he told him that he was going to delete the post-mortem report on Kai's father's death from the system. He was going to hand over every single related file, and he was never to speak of the real cause of death to anyone. From this moment forward, the official story would remain that Kai's father died of a brain tumor. The doctor looked up, his face pale, his voice trembling as he asked who he was and why he was doing this. Master Shen leaned closer, his eyes like steel, and told him that he was someone who could destroy his reputation and his entire career. With just one click, every illegal act he had ever committed could land in the hands of the authorities. His words were cold and precise. He would do as instructed, or he would suffer consequences far worse than losing his license. The doctor, his breath unsteady, asked him if he was the one who had poisoned his patient. Master Shen's expression didn't change. His voice sharpened as he asked him if he was going to do what he was told or not. Trembling, the doctor nodded and turned to his computer. He deleted the post-mortem results from the hospital system, then handed every relevant document to Master Shen. Master Shen took the files, his eyes never leaving the man before him. He warned him that if he ever went back on his word, the punishment would be far worse than simply exposing his crimes to the authorities. With that, he turned and walked out, leaving the doctor sitting there, still frozen in disbelief, the weight of fear heavy on his shoulders. Walking through the hospital corridor, Master Shen saw a group of maintenance workers gathered near the elevator, murmuring about a system glitch. The elevator was jammed. He reached into his pocket, took out his phone, and tapped a few commands. Within seconds, the elevator lights flickered, and the doors slid open again. From inside, Kai stepped out hurriedly, visibly frustrated from being trapped. He rushed forward, accidentally bumping into Master Shen, causing the documents in his hand to scatter across the floor. Kai quickly knelt down, helping him pick them up, apologizing for not watching where he was going. Master Shen looked at him briefly, a faint, calm smile crossing his face as he told him it was all right. Kai handed him the last paper and immediately hurried toward the doctor's office, while Master Shen stepped into the elevator. As the doors began to close, he looked through the narrow gap, watching Kai sprint down the hall. A small smirk crossed his lips before he took out his phone and made a quick call. He told Liwei that everything had been handled, that the cleanup was complete, and that everything was now clear, just as the elevator doors slid shut.